Chapter 8. Return to our roots. On earth there is no heaven, but there are pieces of it. Jules Renard. Maya and I pull into the Walmart parking lot in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and wait for one of my best childhood friends to show up. This is the first time I have been back in my hometown since leaving in the summer of 2016. It's hard to believe it has only been 9 months, especially considering everything that has taken place. Travis pulls up in his little brown truck, and I jump out of the van with a Kool-Aid smile on my face. "What's going on, brother?" He exits his vehicle, and we wrap each other tightly in a bear hug. We have been friends since we were 13, and it is always like this when we see each other. We hop into my van, and I pull out my lockbox. "Want to do some coke?" I ask rhetorically, because, come on, who doesn't want to do some coke? We chop up some lines and powder our noses while catching up on all that has been going on in our lives. "So you've been on the run this entire time?" Travis asks me. He's been on the run before himself, so he knows what it's like. "On the run? Man, I'm living my life, right out here in the open. I ain't running from shit. The only thing that sucks is not having any identification. Maya has to go buy all of my cigarettes for me." Travis rips a fat line and wipes a tear from his eyes. "You wouldn't happen to have an old ID I can have, would you?" "I sure don't, bud. I've got a brand new license for you, though." He pulls out his wallet and hands me his driver's license. "Just don't pull out any loans in my name or get me any felony charges. You've got my word, brother." We caravan to Travis's house out in the country and pull into the fenced-in yard. "You're doing big things in life, homie," I tell my friend as we exit our vehicles. "We got paid by FEMA after the Great Flood last summer. This is what we invested in." After giving us the grand tour of his house, we return to the living room and make ourselves at home on the couch. I pull out my jar of Cheezel and load up a bong, passing the green hit to Travis. "So, before the flood," he begins, and then lights the bong, inhaling deeply before coughing out an enormous smoke cloud. He passes it to the left, regains his composure, then continues. "Before the flood, there was either going to be a race war, or it was going to be the outlaws versus the cops. I'm not sure which, but something big was definitely brewing. That unarmed black man was killed by those cops, and then a man came and killed all those cops out on Airline Highway. We walked into Walmart one day and we could just feel the tension. Everybody was on eggshells." The bong makes its way back to me and I pack another bowl. I take a hit, cornering the bowl to leave a fresh section of green for Travis to enjoy, then pass it on. "So right before all hell broke loose, the floodgates were opened and the water swept away cars, homes, and everybody's feelings of retaliation." Travis hits the bong again, and I take this time to add my 2 cents to the conversation. "That shit is crazy, man. It's just like in a book, This Perfect Day by Ira Levin. The powers that be would use natural disasters or terrorist attacks to get the masses back on track, back to slaving away at their 9-to-5s, no longer questioning the motives of the establishment. That book was written over 40 years ago and still rings true." We think about all this while enjoying the mentally stimulating sativa high of the Cheezel. "Speaking of real shit," Travis says, grabbing the remote. He flips on the TV. "Have y'all seen the new Dave Chappelle?" He puts on the comedian's stand-up and we relax while watching Dave rip into everybody while exposing the dark truths of life in America. That night, Travis and his girlfriend's friends come over and we run through a 1/4 ounce of cocaine. I am able to sell the rest of the ecstasy and Xanax to their friends, and my drug stash has all but evaporated over the course of a month. All that is left is a 1/4 pound of Cheezel, a 1/4 ounce of blow, an ounce of mushrooms, and a 1/4 sheet of LSD. The money has dwindled at an even faster and much more alarming rate. After purchasing 2 vehicles in LA, fucking off all that money in strip clubs, filling up 2 tanks of gas every day, and the odd hotel room here and there, we are down to a staggering $2,500. We can't forget about the 2 G's spent on drugs, The clothes, the gear, makeup, and all of the food. I'm trying to justify blowing through $46,000 in 30 days, but I can't. It is literally impossible. I put the remaining money in my pocket, grab my pillow and sleeping bag out of the van, and go to sleep on Travis's couch. The very next day, I peruse the Craigslist classifieds while Maya twists my hair up into dreadlocks. She has been saying she wants a pup of her own, and a pit bull is the breed she most desires. Full-blooded red-nosed pit bull puppies for sale, I read out loud. $50 to a good home. I show Maya the picture of the litter, and she tells me to make the call. A lady answers, and yes, there is one puppy still available, the runt. And would we like to come meet her? Most definitely. I take down her address and hang up the phone. Before heading out, Maya and I spend a little more time with Travis and his girlfriend Brooke. It has been a pleasant visit with a lifelong friend, but Maya and I have many more sights to see and places to be. We thank them for their hospitality and tell them goodbye, then pile into our vehicles and head to the address where Maya's prospective new puppy patiently abides. We pull up to a shotgun house in a neighborhood known as Brookstown, a part of town notorious for the amount of violent crime perpetrated here. We park in the street and walk up to the front door. A Chevy Cavalier pulls into the driveway just before we can ring the doorbell, and a mother with 3 kids emerges. "Hey guys," she greets us with a friendly smile. "Y'all here to see the puppy?" "Yes, ma'am," Maya and I answer in unison. "Just let me get my kids situated inside, and I'll be right back." A few minutes later, she returns with a tiny, rust-colored ball of fur hot on her heels. Maya squeals with delight and kneels down to make friends with the runt of the litter. The pup wants nothing to do with her, though, and is only interested in shadowing the lady who has been its caretaker since being weaned from its mother. The pup is a little girl with a cute red nose and a squishy face full of wrinkles. We are shown the pup's parents, who are just behind a wooden fence in the backyard, both red-nosed pit bulls too. Maya wants the pup, regardless of its indifference toward her, and I happily hand over $50. Then we drive to a much less violent neighborhood on the other side of town to introduce Karma to her new sister. "I think something is wrong with this puppy," Maya tells me after we park in a residential neighborhood. She is cradling the pup against her chest, and the puppy is crying continuously. "She's been doing this since we started driving," she informs me sadly. Karma hears the cries of distress coming from Maya's arms and tilts her head to the side, curious as to the source of the sound. We sit in the grass and I grab Karma, pulling her near me so she won't overwhelm the puppy, who is still singing her song of sorrow. "What do you think is wrong with her?" Maya asks timidly. "I think she's suffering from a broken heart," I tell her. "What do you mean?" "We've taken her away from her mother." This strikes a nerve with Maya, who lapses into a melancholy silence, no doubt thinking of her children. We let go of the pups and allow them to sniff each other up, or, to be more accurate, Karma is the one doing all of the sniffing. The red-nosed runt tolerates this for about 10 seconds before she offers Karma a snarl in return, adding even more lines to her already wrinkle-filled face. Karma fails to heed the warning from the pup, who is only 1 month younger, but less than a quarter of her size, and the stressed-out puppy latches onto Karma's face. Karma pulls away sharply, swinging the pint-sized pup through the air, and Maya and I can't help but to laugh at the theatrics. We each grab our respective 4-legged friends and soothe them with calming words and energy. Karma has a tiny pinprick of blood on her cheek, hidden just beneath her fur. "The little pitty might be tiny, but she's got the heart of a lion," Maya says proudly. We share another laugh at this, and then Maya asks me, "What should I name her?" "I'm not sure," I answer her. "I thought about naming Karma Luna." "Luna," Maya muses out loud, looking at the pup. "I like it." We continue to let Karma and Luna acclimate to each other while we discuss where our next destination will be. "I think we should go to New Orleans," I tell Maya, who is just as excited by this idea as I am. This is her very first experience traveling east of Arizona, so everything is completely new to her. But before we leave Baton Rouge, I've got one more stop to make. We park in the front yard of my grandmother's house, and the four of us walk up the driveway to the back door. Grandma opens the door and exclaims, "Oh my Lord," upon seeing me, completely floored by this unexpected visit. "Hey Grandma, hey Uncle Mike," I greet two of my most beloved family members heartily. I introduce my family by blood to my family by spirit, and then awkwardly ask, "So where is my mom?" I was hoping to catch all of my family here at one time because as long as I can remember, Sunday was always the day we got together and had dinner as a family. Grandma offers to have Uncle Mike call my mother to tell her I am here, but being a fugitive, coupled with the fact that my mother has called the police on me before, has me very wary of sticking around any longer. I hug and kiss my grandma with promises of returning to visit again, then we say goodbye to Uncle Mike, gather our furry companions, and make our departure. New Orleans, Louisiana is a place like no other on earth. The culture of this great city, the history, the people, food, music, all have a flavor uniquely its own. Maya, the pups, and myself walk around the French Quarter in a daze. The party here does not stop. It is here that I introduce Maya to the food I was raised on, authentic Louisiana cuisine. We pull up chairs on the patio of a quaint little cafe and open up our menus. "I'm gonna need you to order for me. I can't even pronounce any of these words," Maya tells me humorously. Our server comes out with a water dish for our pups and recommends the special du jour, crawfish etouffee. We ask for a bit more time to decide, and I read out the delicious menu items for Maya. Andouille sausage jambalaya, crawfish mac and cheese, seafood gumbo, turtle sauce pecan, red snapper filet. "Okay, that's enough," Maya stops me, salivating. "Can't we just get a little bit of everything?" A dirty kid wearing a Grateful Dead shirt happens to walk past us, and I call out to him, "Oi! You hungry, brother? Come sit down and eat with us." The kid walks over and introductions are made. Our server walks back up to our table, anticipating our readiness to order. "What would you like, Alex?" I ask our new friend. "Oh man, I'm easy. I'll have whatever you guys are having." I order each of us a cup of seafood gumbo, with the red snapper, jambalaya, and crawfish etouffee for all of us to share. The server memorizes our order and walks away. Alex is here in the city for a Bob Weir show. Bobby is one of the founding members of the Grateful Dead and continues to tour with various musicians to this day. After Bobby plays New Orleans, it'll be off to Central Florida to play at a big music festival. Our food arrives and we divvy it up evenly, then ravenously dig in, savoring the spicy goodness down to the very last bite. Before parting ways with Alex, he gives us all the information we need about the music festival in Florida, the Spirit of Suwannee, and tells us he hopes to see us there. Maya and I look at each other and I could tell we are both thinking the same thing. Looks like we already know where our next destination will be. We tell Alex goodbye, then head back to our vehicles, bellies full to bursting. Seeing Alex in his tattered and dirty Grateful Dead shirt has convinced me it's time for Maya and I to get our own. I run a Google search for possible stores to satiate this desire, and am directed to a shop called The Mushroom. We park down the street from Loyola University in a neighborhood filled with resplendent plantation-style homes amid immaculate lawns dotted with towering magnolias, ancient, sprawling live oaks, and the occasional weeping willow. The illustrious wealth seen here can no doubt be traced back to slave days. We walk the short distance to the Mushroom, and I purchase my very first Grateful Dead shirt. It is tie-dyed green and purple with terrapins on the front and a giant stele on the back. I fold it up and place it in my van for safekeeping. Once night falls, I ride my longboard through the quarter on a mission to shed light. I am searching for dirty kids to dose with LSD. I spot 6 or 7 kids sitting on the sidewalk getting schwilly, so I cruise on over and ask if they would like to eat some good love. All but one say, "Fuck yeah," so I pass out some hits and then right away to shouts of, "Thank you," and "Bless you, brother." The next day, on a whim, Maya and I drive my van through the lower Ninth Ward, the neighborhood hit the hardest by the devastating destruction of Hurricane Katrina. We turn off North Claiborne into what can only be described as a war zone. Every other house is dilapidated, boarded up, and covered in graffiti, with weeds growing up to reclaim the property for Mother Nature. We turn down a one-way street and slowly drive through, surveying the treacherous community. A young man stands on a porch wearing a tank top with a gun visibly protruding from his pants and a look of utter contempt on his face. This is a very dangerous part of town, and we can feel it, as if all the oxygen has been sucked from the environment and our haven is no longer safe. "Can we get out of here? Please?" Maya chokes out, desperate for air, desperate for some semblance of civilized society once again. I turn back onto North Claiborne and I feel Maya start to relax next to me. To go from the lush plantation homes of yesterday to the decrepit housing projects of today is a culture shock to us. How can there be two entirely different worlds less than 10 miles apart? Hurricane Katrina was 12 years ago, for God's sake. The French Quarter alone has to gross upwards of $50 million from tourism and festivals per year. Why the fuck are there humans in this city, in this country, in this world that are forced to live in squalor, while the wealthy elite live in unbridled luxury? Isn't there enough wealth in this world to ensure that no human ever has to live in poverty? The spirit of Suwannee Music Festival is in full swing by the time we arrive on Friday afternoon. Tents of all colors can be glimpsed through the oak trees behind a security fence as we drive toward the festival entrance. Having no plans on paying the exorbitant cost of admission plus camping fees, we pull off into a neighborhood across from the main grounds, park our vehicles, and devise a game plan for sneaking into the festival surreptitiously. As Maya packs a bag with food and water for our faithful furry friends, I don my Grateful Dead shirt for the first time, and then go about attaching Karma to her leash. Once Maya has done the same with Luna, I grab the lockbox containing cocaine, mushrooms, and LSD, and then the four of us run across the street and quickly disappear into the dense foliage. It isn't long before the humidity of this central Florida ecosystem has us drenched in sweat. We are surrounded by swarms of mosquitoes and vast swaths of thorns and briar patches. I forge a trail through the lush vegetation for us, sacrificing my body to Gaia. The temporary pain of thorns being ripped from my skin is nothing in comparison to the riches lying in wait for us just beyond this hostile forest. After tromping and traversing through the untamed underbrush for 15 minutes, we come to a rusty barbed wire fence with no trespassing signs attached to it. I step on the bottom wire while simultaneously raising the middle wire, creating a hole for Maya, Karma, and Luna to pass through. Then I dip under, like a prize fighter entering the ring before a championship bout. The sound of a golf cart driving by flattens us to the earth. We are only about 10 feet away from a paved road inside the festival. We creep to the edge of a clearing and hide behind a tree. When we cross over, I whisper to Maya, we are paying customers, just exploring the grounds. Let's try not to rouse anyone's suspicion. We know exactly where we are going and don't require anybody's help. Maya nods in agreement and tightens her rein on Luna. Okay, let's go. We burst out of the forest and into the promised land as if by catapult, hustle across the road, and immediately fall into a leisurely stroll. I can't believe we made it, Maya whispers excitedly. Play it cool, I remind her. We follow the road to a vast clearing filled with hundreds upon hundreds of vehicles. Tie-dyed tapestries hang suspended from lines. Flags with pot leaves and dancing bears are raised and fluttering in the wind, and the faint buzz of humanity, something we hadn't noticed was missing until now, is growing ever more pronounced. Passing through a gap between two RVs is like passing through a portal into a parallel universe, one where psychedelic patterns are the populace's preference in clothing, where spinning, dancing, and skipping are the primary means of transportation, and where everyone present, minus police and preteens, is partial to peyote and psilocybin. We walk through the bizarre bazaar, threading our way through the hippies hula hooping, spinning poi, and hacky sacking, pausing at various booths to peruse the precious gems, patches, and hat pins. We pass guitarists strumming, drummers drumming, and fiddlers fiddling, all adding their heart songs to this paradigm of paradise. Venturing deeper and deeper into this almost alien world, we can perceive the ever-present perfume of cannabis clinging to everything, as well as the sweet sounds of Jerry and the gang pulsing from every speaker. Sugar Magnolia here, Ramble on Rose there. A man on a golf cart rolls up and stops right beside us. Service animals are required to wear their vests at all times. Hey, wait a second. Do you guys have wristbands? We haven't purchased them yet, I mumble weakly. Well, that just won't do. Hop on. I'll bring you guys to the front so you can get all of that taken care of. 20 minutes in and we've already been busted. We climb aboard the cart and are whisked through the Suwannee Indian Reservation to the main entrance. After a 5-minute ride, we are deposited at the ticket booth and the security guard drives away. Maya and I walk the pups back to our vehicles in a mild state of defeat. Stealing our way into such a sacred space didn't achieve lasting results. It seems like in order for us to fully enjoy the untainted fruit of this orchard, our modus operandi should be untainted as well. We drive our vehicles to the dirt road serving as the main entrance to the venue, then climb atop my van with a piece of cardboard and a permanent marker. Family needs tickets is written on the cardboard amid many deadbolts and hearts, and we wave it energetically at all approaching vehicles with megawatt smiles and peace signs. After about an hour, we grow weary of this shameless solicitation and climb down to check on the pups. A cyclist, decked out in full gear, pedals up to us at this very moment and says, "I heard through the grapevine that you guys need tickets." Maya answers him by saying, "You heard right, sir. We are trying to go see Bobby." "Well, y'all are in luck then," the cyclist replies heartily. "Something has come up, so my wife and I will be leaving tomorrow morning. If you guys aren't here at the gate when we pull out, I will leave our wristbands for you with him." He points to a man across the street selling jars of local honey and homemade jelly. We thank the cyclist profusely for his kindness, and he bids us adieu before riding off. When night falls, Maya and I make camp underneath a bridge just down the street from the main entrance. Seeing as how we are absolutely buzzing with anticipation, it is extremely hard for us to fall asleep. In just a few hours, we will be able to walk through the entrance of the festival and partake in all the madness within without fear of being kicked out. We stay up talking for a few hours, and then, unbeknownst to us, slumber creeps into the van and cradles us in her comforting embrace, whispering words of safety and serenity as she slowly rocks us to sleep. It is the beckoning of the birds which rouses me, pulling me back to the here and now with twitterings of "Awaken, for your wristbands to Wani await." I bring Maya back to consciousness by calling her name, and we go about our morning rituals with relish. Fully awake and ready for the festivities, we drive to the main entrance and collect our wristbands from the jelly vendor exactly as the cyclist promised. Adorned with new accessories and accepting our alter egos as paying customers, Maya and I cruise through the front gates with alacrity. We are stopped at the ticket booth and asked for paperwork, certifying that Karma and Luna are indeed service animals. Unable to procure these, our pups are denied access to the festival. On top of that, our wristbands only garner us entry to the musical performances. An auxiliary camping pass is the prerequisite for driving in and setting up camp, but because one of these costs several $100s, plus the fact that our pups are altogether prohibited from attending the party, Maya and I tuck our tails and return to our campsite beneath the bridge. You go ahead and go to the festival first, Maya tells me. I'll stay here and keep an eye on our pups and the vehicles. Okay. I'll try and hustle up enough money for us to buy a camping pass. I'll be back in an hour or two. I grab my bag and climb down the steep embankment to the creek below, take off my boots and socks, and wade across the crisp, cool water. After emerging on the far side, I repeat the process, only this time in reverse, and follow a trail into the forest toward the heart of Wani. After an hour or so of mingling with the festival goers, I have managed to sell an eighth of powder and the entire ounce of mushrooms, but have yet to reach the mark that will enable me to purchase a camping pass. I have been offered money on numerous occasions for the LSD I have, but every time I chose to give away single or double doses for free instead of selling them. Pranksters, not gangsters. I return to Maya and the pups under the bridge and switch places with my road dog, allowing her the opportunity of enjoying the festivities. I bring the pups down to the creek and let them cool off in the gently flowing stream. Maya returns just before dusk, giddy with excitement. Bob Weir and the Campfire Band are closing the festival tomorrow night. That is the sole performance neither of us want to miss, so having this information is critical. We stay up most of the night, running through the last of the cocaine, immersed in conversation concerning consciousness, angels, destiny, and twin flames. I awaken to a massive headache and the previous night's cocaine binge. I awaken to a massive headache after the previous night's cocaine binge. My eyes are stuck together, my mouth is practically a desert wasteland, and my fuse is altogether non-existent. Maya rises to much of the same ailments, and for whatever reason, we begin the day with a vicious argument. Our arguments have always been over petty slights and disagreements, basically over our egos being bruised, and neither of us having the good sense or humility to withdraw from the fight. Trivial though they may be, the intensity and consistency of these spats has increased exponentially over the last 2 months, crescendoing on occasion in threats and even acts of physical violence. Today is no different. After an hour of screaming and yelling and crying and cursing each other, we spill out of the van in a fury of flying fists, the negative energy pouring from our pores and forming a shroud of toxic darkness capable of concealing an entire legion of demonic forces. We pause to catch our breaths, locked in a bitter ceasefire. This is fucking bullshit, Maya. We're supposed to be best friends, but we act more like arch enemies. Maya narrows her eyes at me and replies, "You are not my best friend." I am lost for words, completely dumbfounded by this revelation. As far as I knew, I was her only friend, the only person for hundreds upon hundreds of miles who even knew she existed. I was the one who was with her as she kicked heroin. I have been the one providing for her day in and day out since we left Ocean Beach all those weeks ago. I have been risking my freedom, hell, my life to take care of her. All these things have I done, my ego is quick to point out. I can't believe you just said that to me, I tell her. I pull out all the money out of my pocket, something like $450, and throw it in her face. If that's really how you feel, I tell her, good luck and good riddance. I climb into the driver's seat of my van and start it up. Being in such a negative relationship with Maya makes me feel as if I am stuck in a perpetually self-defeating cycle. I can't just leave her 1,000 miles away from anything she knows, can I? It would feel like I was abandoning her, and I am almost certain she would panic and end up on the needle again, this time worse off than when I met her. My karma may already be wrecked from stealing that money from Adam, but I can't just abandon Maya like my mother did me. On the other hand, if I stay, it will only be a matter of time until we start fighting again, which will inevitably lead to me losing my temper and hitting her. Again. What's worse, I feel like Maya enjoys our fighting, enjoys the drama, the yelling and screaming, and in a sick sort of way, enjoys being hit. She pokes and prods and pushes every button I have until we are at it again, full of passion and rage, and powerless to prevent what comes next. I despise myself for putting my hands on her, despise myself for doing the very thing I have vowed never to do again. But I despise Maya just as much. I despise her for holding me captive in her masochistic world. I have never felt weaker than I do now. I have never felt less of a man than I do now. It isn't that she degrades, humiliates, or emasculates me. No, it is much worse than that. I have done all these things to myself by allowing the abuse to continue. This day has been coming for a while now. The day when we finally end the abuse and part ways. The only thing that has always held me back is the fact that I would be leaving her so far away from anybody or anything she is familiar with. Abandoning her to her own devices so soon after she's kicked dope seemed to me like a death sentence, both to her sobriety and my conscience. I look through the window at Maya, who is sobbing, tears cascading down her face, and then I kill the engine. I climb out of the van with Karma and go sit on the ground some distance away, lighting up a cigarette. After about 30 minutes, Maya joins me and apologizes meekly. One of these days, we really are going to part ways, I tell her, but it won't be in anger. It'll be in joy, and we'll even be able to remain friends afterwards. I'd much rather that than for us to make a permanent decision based on temporary emotions, like what almost just happened. It won't be long now, Maya. Our demons get along too well for us to stay together peaceably. We're like vampires, feeding off of each other's negativity. We spend the rest of the day allowing our anger to decompose, smoking joints while listening to the soothing songs of Bob Marley. As night falls, we make our way through the darkening forest, eager to see one of the founding members of the band whose music and history we identify with so much. Karma and Luna are locked safely away in the van with plenty of ventilation, food, and water to last them for hours. Maya and I emerge from the trees and join a steady stream of people who are all heading to the entrance of the Peach stage. After having our bags and wristbands checked by security, we walk through the gate and claim our seats on the grass between the food vendors and the stage. It isn't long before we are joined by 5 or 6 other people who sit beside us. I am offered a fat square of LSD, which I gratefully accept, eating it while Maya chats excitedly with a girl named Summer. As more people join our group, more drugs are passed around, primarily psychedelics and dissociatives, as introductions are made. The people here are kind, forthcoming, and able to be themselves openly without fear of being judged or condemned in any way. The atmosphere inside these gates is a brief glimpse into what harmony on earth could be like. The stage lights turn on and the crowd erupts into exuberant applause, only to settle back into restless anticipation when no musicians have appeared after 5 minutes. It has been about half an hour since we have been sitting here, and I am beginning to feel the effects of the LSD I've eaten. I'm going to go walk around, I tell Maya, and then stand up and head off into the crowd. I meander aimlessly through the mass of people, feeling the pulse of the collective heartbeat as energies wax and wane, ebb, flow, and combine. I catch brief snippets of conversations being mixed and mastered by some ethereal producer, DJ Synchronicity, forming one continuous dialogue. I ate about an ounce of mushrooms at Dark Star Orchestra last year, just like Jerry used to do. Felt like I was in heaven, and that was before I got my wings. A joint is passed to me, and a voice says, "Happy 420." I inhale the potent smoke and pass it on as all conversation comes to an abrupt end. And just like that, the music starts. Or, to be more accurate, the music never stopped. Only a new song has begun, and now everybody's dancing because Bobby is on stage and he's playing in the band. I lay down in the grass and stare at the heavens. The blinking lights of passing aircraft occupy my attention. I close my eyes and feel waves of energy roiling across the crowd with every strum of Bobby's guitar. He's in tune, allowing the music to take control, and all I can do is smile, smile, smile. The song ends and another begins. The crowd explodes with enthusiasm, clearly pleased with the selection. I still can't hear what the song is, but then, as one, all voices sing out, "If my words did glow." Ripple in still water, where there is no pebble tossed or wind to blow. Memories of key points in this journey I've been on come charging to the forefront of my consciousness. Learning how to play the opening chords of this song in Ocean Beach, meeting Maya and Mr. John dancing around his living room, Adam. The one memory that brings pain and regret snaps me out of my musings. I focus on Bobby's voice. Pebble tossed or wind to blow. He trails off, and the crowd, after missing a fraction of a beat, picks it up again. "You who choose to lead." Bobby rejoins, and I can hear the smile on his face. "Must follow, but if you fall alone." I stand up and head back to where I left Maya. "If I knew the way, I would take you home." "How amazing was tonight," Maya raves as we head back to our vehicles under the bridge. "Can you believe Bobby forgot the words to Ripple? He's been singing it for 50 years. I mean, come on, Bobby." I just smile and listen, enjoying her happiness as she chatters away due to the magic of seeing Bobby paired with several doses of Molly. Nowhere in me is the desire or ability to inform her that Bobby was simply allowing the music to come to life by forgetting the words. We open the van doors and peek in. Luna and Karma look at us sleepily, cuddled up together in the bed. Maya and I greet the pups, then call them outside to use the bathroom. "I want to drive into the festival tonight," I tell Maya. "But we don't have a camping pass." "I know, but did you notice the front entrance was completely deserted when we left? I think it'll be safe for us to drive in and camp there tonight." "Alright, I guess it's worth a shot." We load up and drive into the festival, parking in an area with many other vans and RVs. The party is still raging, and I decide to go exploring. I follow the sound of heavy bass through the forest and come upon a disco party in full swing. Lasers wash over the gyrating crowd in radiant reds, brilliant blues, and glowing greens, as pictures of Prince and David Bowie are projected onto the backdrop of the stage. EDM blares from the speakers, and the deep wub 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 vibrates the ground beneath my feet. Raves really aren't my cup of tea, so I turn to leave, and that's when I notice a dirty kid leaning against a fence post watching me. "What's up, family?" I greet the kid and his dog as I approach them. Nothing much. I'm Luke, and this is Flapjack. You get to see Bobby tonight? Yes, sir. That's the only reason we came. We walk slowly back to the parking area, making small talk. So where are you heading next? Luke asks. Further, as always. Other than that, our next destination is still undecided. How about you? I'm trying to get to Asheville, North Carolina after this. We reach my van and I pull out some ganja for us to smoke. I'll ask my road dog tomorrow. We might be able to give you a ride. Right on, brother. Flap and I would be grateful for that. We finish the joint and say goodnight. Who was that? Maya asks as I crawl into bed. I tell her about Luke and his desire to get to Asheville. That reminds me, Maya says suddenly. Summer lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and has invited us to come visit if we are ever in the area. Sounds like we have added the next two destinations to our itinerary. Asheville followed by Chattanooga. Maya and I arrive in Chattanooga, Tennessee 3 days later. Asheville was drab and rainy, so we left forthwith after dropping off Luke and Flapjack. After all the excitement of seeing Bobby perform at Wani, Maya never exchanged contact info with Summer, so we find ourselves longboarding around downtown, allowing the spirit to guide us. Look at that. I point to a flyer in a shop window with a big steely in the middle of it. Tennessee's Dead, I read out loud. Playing Friday, April 25th. Maya and I look at each other excitedly. Right place, right time? Or is there a higher power guiding our steps? The storyteller makes no choice. We kick push our way down side streets with little to no traffic, as Luna and Karma run beside us on their leashes. After several blocks, we stop to rest in front of a row of duplexes. A young man walking toward us from an alley to our left takes one look at our tie-dyed Dead shirts and dreadlocks, then smiles broadly while saying, "What's up, family?" Introductions are made, and then Blake invites us to his apartment to smoke some grass. Maya and I agree, and we all follow our new friend into one of the duplexes. The smell of burning incense welcomes us into the apartment, which is filled with plants nestled comfortably in their pots and posters of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin adorning the walls. Make yourselves at home. Blake nods toward a couch, then calls out, "Babe, we have guests." Maya and I sit down, and the pups make themselves comfortable at our feet. "I'll go grab some weed for us," Blake says, then disappears into a back room. Several minutes later, he returns, and behind him is none other than Summer. "Hey, guys," she gushes excitedly, then glides over to hug us. "So, y'all already know each other then?" Blake asks, incredulous. Summer explains to him how we met at Wani, then confides, "This is so weird. As soon as Blake said we had guests over, I immediately thought of you two." "Talk about weird," Maya agrees. "How in the world did we randomly meet your boyfriend and get invited back to your apartment?" "Just a simple twist of fate," Blake sagely quotes Dylan, then sets about packing a bowl into a glass bong. "So, there's a Dead cover band playing Friday night," I tell our hosts. "Tennessee's Dead," Summer replies. "They're really good. We should all go together." Everyone agrees to this plan, and then we begin our smoke session. Summer invites us to stay at their apartment as long as we want. We gratefully accept this offer, seeing as how we are down to our last C-note, and have decided to sell Maya's Pathfinder for funds to continue our journey. Pleasantly high after smoking 2 bowls, Summer gives us permission to do laundry and shower, 2 activities we haven't partaken in since we stayed at Travis's house in Baton Rouge. As night falls on Chattanooga, just an hour or so before the Dead show, we all pile into my van and drive the short distance to the venue. I park on the street and the 4 of us head to the entrance. Upon entering the building, we make our way to the patio section where the smokers are congregating. We claim a table next to a lively group of college kids excitedly recounting their experiences with LSD and loudly proclaiming their desire to purchase some tonight. I take that as my cue to jump into their conversation. Guys, we're at a dead cover show, and you all are looking for somebody to sell you LSD? That's like being at church and trying to buy communion. I wouldn't even trust somebody who is trying to make money off LSD anyway. It's basically sacrilege. I have piqued the curiosity of the college kids, but I also notice an old head wearing a hat with an owl's feather perk up and take interest in my words. What do you mean by that? One of the students asks me. Do you think LSD should be free? I'm saying I'm not going to sell you something that has the power to change your life from the inside out. You might eat this little piece of paper and spend the next 4 hours having a conversation with God about the very nature of your being and why there is so much darkness surrounding it. Psychedelics are powerful medicines capable of healing the mind and soul. Greed is one of the downfalls of this society. Someone might discover a medicine tomorrow that will completely eradicate cancer cells from their host. Do you think they will sell it or give it away for free? Oh, whoever comes up with that medicine is going to be an overnight billionaire for sure, one of the students tells me. And that is the difference between us and them, I respond, passing off the last 5 hits of the LSD I stole from Adam to the kid nearest me. The sound of the band tuning up draws the patio dwellers inside. I stand up and glance at the old head, who nods almost imperceptibly at me before looking away. Maya and Summer stay outside, engrossed in their conversation, so I head inside, making my way toward the stage. The band opens with their namesake, Tennessee Jed, and we all sing along. Tennessee, Tennessee, there ain't no place I'd rather be. Next is Sugar Magnolia, which sets the crowd on fire. Everybody is spinning and dancing happily, and I am so lost in the madness, I don't even notice the old head slide up beside me. Dose yourself and your friends, he tells me in my ear, while passing me a vial of liquid love. He then glides back into the crowd, dematerializing as swiftly as the morning dew before noon. I feel honored, just holding the small bottle of lightning in my hands. I open it up right there in the middle of the dance floor and pour a generous puddle into the palm of my hand, which I quickly lap up. I am giddy with excitement, and after closing up the vial, I head to the patio to find Maya and Summer. Y'all want to dose? I ask them, discreetly flashing the vial. No, we just ate some mushrooms, they reply. Where's Blake at? He wasn't feeling too well, so we went back to the van. I hop over the black iron railing and head to the van. Blake is laying in the grass beside it, passed out drunk. As I head back to the venue, I begin to feel tingly all over the inside of my body, almost as if my soul was itching. It's only been 10 minutes, but I can already feel the LSD working its magic, sending small shock waves throughout my nervous system. It's either really good or I've eaten a lot of it. Probably both. I laugh out loud and return to the show. The Grateful Dead's studio version of Terrapin Station is arguably their best version, a rarity considering the band's live performances were where all the magic happened, as the band jammed through all preconceptions concerning time, structure, and theory. Due to the helter-skelter disillusionment of reality... Let me start that sentence over. The Grateful Dead's studio version of Terrapin Station is arguably their best version, a rarity considering the band's live performances were where all the magic happened, as the band jammed through all preconceptions concerning time, structure, and theory, due to the helter-skelter disillusionment of reality created by Mickey and Billy's drummer's duel near the end of the song, a feat even the Dead themselves seldom attempted to reproduce. As I re-enter the establishment, I am surprised to find Terrapin Station being covered quite righteously. I walk past the bar and notice the mad doser who handed me the vial perched on a stool, casually sipping a beer. I sit beside him and slip him his vial back. Thank you kindly, sir. Call me Skip, and it's my pleasure. Keep spreading light, my friend. I nod in agreement and am suddenly pulled bodily onto the dance floor by Maya and Summer as Dancing in the Streets begins. We skip joyfully around the dance floor, hand in hand, until, one by one, two by two, everybody begins to join in, and before long, we are all connected, merrily prancing around the venue in an unbroken chain of happiness. The show ends, and the smokers converge to the patio for cigarettes and to plan the next rendezvous of the night. Skip and his wife invite us to IHOP with several other heads, but we regretfully decline. Blake is still passed out drunk, and we have to get him home. Maya, Summer, and I head back to our parking spot as a light rain begins to fall. We quicken our pace as the rain descends faster, and by the time we reach the van, we are drenched and laughing at our good fortune. Blake is sitting up in the grass, mad at the world for wetly awakening him, and Summer is who he decides to take it out on. The two of them have a relationship almost as bipolar as the one Maya and I share, which is probably one of the reasons the girls have become such quick friends. The thankfully short journey back to Summer's apartment is a tense one, and by the time we arrive, Blake and Summer are arguing heatedly amongst themselves. Maya and I decide to give them their space and just crash in the van. A thunderous explosion wrenches me from my sleep, and I look out the window, searching for the cause. It is light outside, but just so. The early morning sun is tucked away behind massive storm clouds, which cast the street in a gloomy pallor. Raindrops cover all the windows, making it difficult to see anything outside the van. I open the side doors, and that is when I see the cause of the explosion. The towering oak tree across the street was struck by lightning and has split apart near the base, causing the behemoth to fall upon the building beside it. I light up a cigarette and hustle through the rain to the front door of Summer's apartment. I open the door and call the pups. Karma, Luna, come on, girls. They jump off the couch and hustle out to greet me. Maya joins us on the veranda, and we stare at the work of Mother Nature, quietly appreciating the destructive power she wields as we smoke our cigarettes. The rain begins to abate, and I snub out my cigarette. Come on, Karma. I race across the street and clamber onto the stump of the downed tree, walking up the trunk into the sprawling mass of branches near the top. I turn around and Karma is still at the base on solid ground. Luna is only 10 feet away from me, though, bravely following in my footsteps. Good girl, Luna. I praise the pup and gather her in my arms as she reaches me. I walk back down the length of the tree and hop down to the earth. I set Luna down, and Karma pounces on her, eager to dominate by force the pup who just dominated her in courage. Maya posts her Pathfinder to Craigslist a few hours later, and we sell it for $2,000. We stay in Chattanooga another week and a half, but end up leaving after attributing the cause of our latest fight to cabin fever. The truth is that our argument started whenever I realized how quickly our money has dwindled. We have about $300 left. To think that 6 months ago money meant nothing to us is almost unfathomable.